Hello, my name is Stas. I have been living in Poland for 8 years and I am engaged in business. And watch this video until the end. And right here, right now, from one video, you will get a comprehensive answer to the question, what taxes should you actually pay? How to correctly pay ZUS? What startup benefits are available? And what exactly you should choose. Let's go. So, I have a laptop, I have a camera, and we will periodically look in different directions, either at the presentation or at me. What is important to understand? Firstly, it's the VAT rate. The VAT rate, or as we call it, VAT, is something that you can have both on a limited liability company, that is on a company and on individual entrepreneurship. Moreover, here individual entrepreneurship, which I will refer to as IEP, is a form of ownership that can be a taxpayer. VAT, unlike, for example, some forms of taxation for sole proprietors in Ukraine. And therefore, the first thing to understand is the basic VAT rate, which is 23%. And there are other reduced rates, VAT. For more information on what VAT is, see our guide here. So let's just note that I will be discussing taxes in the context of net and VAT. This is something that will either arise or not, depending on various other factors. So let's just note it for ourselves, 23%. But this is not a tax that you pay, don't consider it as such. Thus, this is a value-added tax that you are required to add to your goods and services. Okay, I think it's clear. If not, watch the previous video about VAT. I'm getting dressed, gospodarki, let's go. So, in Poland, there are 3 forms of taxation under JDG. There are actually 4, but the 4th one is never discussed, and I won't either, because it's a separate tax card where you can write a letter to the tax office and they will select some personal conditions for you. This does not concern 99% of you. So 3 forms. This is how they look. We will go through each of them as well as all the benefits you might have at the start. The first form is the tax scale. In Polish, it's called skala podatkowa. I will mention it in both Russian and Polish so that you can, if needed, search for it separately in Polish, because there is more information in Polish. The second tax format is the podatek liniowy, commonly known as the linear tax. And the third format is reach out, evidential, or simply reach out, which is a turnover tax. So, the first thing that is important to understand in Poland, within the framework of the EGD, you can pay either from net profit or from turnover. This is the first thing we will establish now. 2 forms of taxation are paid from net profit. This is a cabinet, a tax meter, and a linear tax meter. One form is paid, just like our third group of sole proprietors, from turnover. Let's discuss each of these forms of taxation. Who it suits, what to choose, what go, and so on. Right away, I ask you to like the video and subscribe to the channel, because many watch the videos without subscribing. Support us, because what I'm about to discuss will save you simply a month of your life and possibly even save you money, because you won't incur a fine. So, before we begin, it's important to understand ZUS. ZUS is generally one of the most confusing things in Poland. If you approach a regular Polish person on the street and ask how much ZUS needs to be paid in the Polish VAT, they might say, what is Polish VAT? Or I don't even know what my ZUS is. In other words, it's a very complicated matter. ZUS is the Social Insurance Fund. It includes pensions, healthcare, and all other benefits. Thanks to this, firstly, you set aside some money for your pension, and secondly, you have the opportunity for your whole family to use free Polish healthcare. There are 2 types of ZUS, the ZUS, DOS, which we call the older ZUS. And in 2022, a new ZUS was added as part of the Polish deal. These 2 ZUS types, we will now work with them together and play around with them. The first form of taxation is the tax scale. What you often see on the internet is 12% of the net profit. Net profit, in case anyone forgot, is your income minus your expenses. Income minus expenses equals net profit. This is what we essentially pay from, 12%. The thing is, everyone talks about the 12%, about how it was recently lowered, but no one talks about the Polish deal, about the initiative that Poland came up with in 2022. And the 9% Zeus contribution, which you will also need to pay. In total, if we are talking about the tax scale, you are looking at 12 plus 9, which is 21% tax from net profit, or 41% from net profit. Let's figure out how this works. So, within the tax scale, you have a limit. This limit is 120,000 zlotys per year of net profit. In other words, if you plan to withdraw for yourself around, well, not approximately, but up to 10,000 zlotys per month net, then the tax scale will suit you just fine. The tax scale also works for those who have a husband or wife. And if the spouse, husband or wife does not work, there is an opportunity to increase this limit by multiplying it by 2. That is, instead of 120,000 zlotys, you can increase the limit to 240,000 zlotys. Accordingly, that's 20,000 zlotys per month. It's quite a cool thing. I just thought to myself, it's genius. It really suits many people. If there are a lot of expenses, then you can, well, 20,000 is quite a decent amount of money. You don't have to switch to the tax. Lazy, right? Cool? Give it a like. And what else about the tax scale? Yes, I want to say. There is such a thing that up to 30,000 zlotys, this is the so-called tax-free amount. And this means that if you earn up to 30,000 a year, you won't pay any tax. Some part will still be paid because it's copywriting, but in general, if someone's income isn't very high, keep this in mind. And as I said, the possibility, sort of collectively, if the husband or wife is not working, to increase, this is the limit. What is the 41% figure? The moment, Soko-san, you exceed the amount of 120,000 zlotys per year, you will pay on everything above that. This amount at 41%. So on 120,000 zlotys, you will pay 21%. Suppose you had 140,000 this year, you will pay 41% on the remaining 20,000. That's how it works. It doesn't work. Often the mistake is that during consultations, we advise people. People think that as soon as you exceed this limit of 120,000, you immediately pay 41% on everything. No, that's not how it works. The tax scale is clear. The flat tax is an interesting option for those who want to earn more than 120,000 zlotys a year. These are people who plan to earn, let's say, 20 to 30,000 zlotys a month, 50 to 100,000 zlotys a month. For all of them, the flat tax is suitable, and at the same time, you plan to write everything off as expenses. Once again, I repeat, the tax scales and the flat tax are two forms of taxation where you can write everything off as expenses. This means you are required to keep a book of income and expenses. What awaits us? Online, they write that it's 19%, but that's not quite true. You're looking at 19%. PIT plus 4.9%. Under this new ZUS, the Polish deal. Accordingly, you are looking at 23%, 9% tax on net profit. But without limits, there is a limit of 2 million euros. But in fact, under this form of taxation, if you see yourself with 2 million euros, then you are a millionaire. And basically, you don't need to watch my video anymore because I have nothing else to tell you. And essentially, the point is that there are no such restrictions, meaning you pay 23.9, almost 24%. But your nearest limit is 2 million euros per year. After 2 million, some additional percentages are added on top. This is called a tax for the wealthy. Honestly, I haven't even looked into it. I don't remember what the tax is there because I'm not a millionaire yet, so I haven't been very interested in it. Please write in the comments if any of you are millionaires. I would gladly have a coffee with you. I think the linear tax is clear. It's the simplest one. But here comes the catch. This thing is serious. Get ready for this. Many of you want to pay based on turnover. This is a familiar and understandable system of operation, like in Ukraine. And, well, in principle, we help to open a sole proprietorship. And probably more than half choose this form of taxation, which makes sense. But with it, things are a bit complicated. So the first point is that you pay based on turnover. Your limit is also 2 million euros. Third, your rate is different. It varies from 2 to 17%. And here you see an example. I just sketched out what rates might be where. For example, too much duration refers to translators and consultants at 17%. Photographer, the services 15%. Construction of a caviar bar, coffee shop, is 5.5%. E-commerce, 3%. In general, take a look, pause the video and check the examples of how it works below the video. I will leave a link to the website where you can search more specifically for your types of activities and see this rate. And we move on. As you might have noticed, if previously in the tax scale and in the tax system we added ITA, this Polish VAT, this ZUS, there, 9%. They're 4.9% then. In the flat rate, at first glance, nothing is added. That is, there is simply a rate that you pay from the turnover. But there is a nuance. The nuance is that this ZUS within the framework of the Polish deal was also included in the limits based on your income. So what awaits you if you plan to earn this year? No matter which year, if you plan to earn up to 60,000 zlotys per year, then you will pay a fixed amount of 335 zlotys per month. At the time I'm recording this video, the rate is currently more or less like this, but it might change in 2023, which is literally a month away. This rate will most likely be even higher because inflation is rising and all these things are also increasing along with inflation. Nevertheless, if you want to withdraw up to 60K to reach out, please, you will also need to pay an additional 35 zlotys each month. If you want to withdraw up to 300,000 zlotys per year, you will pay 560 zlotys per month as part of this ZUS. And lastly, if you want to withdraw more than 300,000 zlotys per year, for example, 1 million zlotys, 2 million zlotys, then you will pay 1,007 zlotys per month. If it's unclear, here's how it looks in the context of a year. Up to 60K, you will pay, if your income is up to 60,000, you will pay 4,000 zlotys per year under the Polish deal. Up to 300,000, you will pay 6,700, and if you earn more than 300,000 zlotys per year, you will pay 12,000 zlotys per year. Clear, right? So once again, there, 1,007 zlotys. We simply multiply by 12 months, and we get a figure of 12,000 zlotys. To be continued? Now, what is important to understand within the framework of a sole proprietorship? There is such a thing as ulga at the start. That is, it's a relief that the Polish state gives you so that you can get up to speed, and not be sunk by these huge taxes, so to speak. What awaits you? There are several options you can choose from. To be honest, I don't even remember what the options are, because all normal people use. We're going to start within the framework of reduced ZUS. First 0 and then reduced. If anyone has used something else, write in the comments. I'm actually curious myself. So for the first 6 months, you will pay 0 ZUS, the simple old ZUS that has always been there. For the next 18 months, you will pay plus or minus 500 zlotys per month. This is the reduced ZUS rate. And after 2 years of your Polish sole proprietorship existing, you will pay the minimum ZUS from the minimum wage in Poland. Currently, it's about 1,500 zlotys. Next year, it will be around 1,700 zlotys, give or take, in total. What is important to understand, and let's go back to the slide with all the forms of taxation. Yes, what is important to understand? The tax scale is suitable if you have a husband or wife who is not working, and if you have relatively small incomes, say up to 10,000 zlotys, please choose the tax scale. And pay a linear tax from net profit, also from net profit, but for more serious projects, where the incomes are large, they can be, and ZUS is included as a percentage. Yes, this ZUS of the Polish deal is included as a percentage and ranges from 2 to 17%. You pay from turnover, and there is a floating rate. Yes, actually, this is all the palmistry with these Zeuses, depending on your thresholds and everything else. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, and ask your questions. What else would you like to hear about? Did you like the format with the video, screencast, and presentation? I would be glad to see you on my Instagram. It's below the video. Subscribe and have a successful business in Poland. Peace.